Charles Darwin was the individual that came up with the process of natural selection and how it is the factor that drives evolution. And he published it in his book on the origins of species by means of natural selection. And once again, how natural selection works is there must be variation within a population, and all populations do have variation. Each individual is at a struggle for existence, and not all individuals reproduce at the same rate and or survive at the same rate. And each individual is going to try to produce as many offsprings as they can. And given my scenario down below, our selection pressure, or the predator here, is consuming which type of beetle? Green beetle. And these green beetles are green. Why? Because of their genes and because of their allelic types. Now we have a different allelic type here that makes an individual orange, and over time, which allele are you going to see more often? You're going to see the allele that causes an individual to be orange, because the selection pressure here, the predator, is consuming the green beetle, therefore causing a change in my allelic frequency. The process of natural selection has produced a vast diversity of different kinds of life. So here we're looking at the kingdoms of life, and we've got the plants, the animals, fungus, protista, which is eukaryotes. What does it mean to be a eukaryote? They have a nucleus, but unicellular, so they're not multicellular, or can be multicellular. Eubacteria, which are prokaryotes, and archaeobacteria, which are those extreme bacteria that live in very extreme environments. Within natural selection, it's all about how well you can survive and how well you can reproduce. So what is it that determines an individual's reproductive success and survival success? Well, other than their genetic makeup, it's the environment. And does the environment always stay the same? No, the environment is constantly changing. So here we're looking at a couple different ways, two different ways, that we can see a change in the environment. Looking at succession. Now here we have primary succession. And primary succession is where you get new land, or new land is exposed, and there is no soil present. That's hint, hint, wink, wink. Primary succession, no soil present. So here I got a couple examples. I took this picture here. This Sawyer Glacier in Alaska. As a glacier recedes, land is carved out and there is new rock exposed to the outside environment. So therefore new organisms can come and colonize these areas. Or here is an underwater volcano spewing out lava that then is cooled by the ocean, turns into an island. So another example of primary succession, no soil. Here it shows you over time how primary succession succeeds, I guess you could say. Here we start out with bare rock, and over time you get these pioneer species that come in and colonize these areas. And as they grow and die, they start to develop the soil, because soil is made of organic material and weathered down material from the bedrock. So as these organisms live and die, their organic material is now part of the soil with the minerals from the bedrock. Over time you can see a progression of new species coming in and colonizing. But what's the main thing about primary succession? It's that there is no soil to begin with. Here we're looking at secondary succession. In secondary succession, there is soil present. So it's some type of disaster. Something's occurred to an area that has wiped out all of the living biotic factors within that area, and then how life tends to come back and thrive in the different stages. But the main thing with secondary succession is that soil is present. So an example for secondary succession would be a fire wiping out all the living things within an area, but over time wind can blow in new seeds from other areas. Those seeds can colonize, and what are those first species called that come in? Pioneer species. And then over time you get more and more diverse life occurring. And here's another representation of secondary succession over time. Now, if you remember back to chapter 4, we were looking at food webs, and here I got a food web here. Well, here we're looking at a keystone species. And what do you think a keystone species is? Well, keystone species is a species within an ecosystem that determines the survivability and the success of many other species within that ecosystem. So here we've got krill. And usually you can notice a keystone species within a food web is because they have a lot of arrows pointing to them and or away from them. So if you were to take out that species, you could see a collapse in many other different species because of that one keystone species not being there anymore.